Hello, I'm Brian Larson, the director of The Legend of Mor'du.
I'm Steve Purcell. I wrote Legend of Mor'du with Brian. Mor'du in Gaelic, I guess it means great black.
And we are always trying to make this a cautionary tale that nothing's going to go quite right.
Come on then, let me guess.
We had worked together on the movie Brave.
And at the time, we had a little passage that was talking about the lore of this character, Mor'du.
Able to fly.
It didn't fit in the narrative of our movie, but we always felt like there was some backstory to Mor'du that we needed to know more about.
Tell it. Oh, aye, I'll tell you a tale. But it's up to you whether you heed the words or not. Not far from here, there was a prosperous, flourishing kingdom.
We really wanted to capture that illustrative, moving tapestry look. It's almost like somebody's memories being illustrated. It's very almost chiseled out of stone, but very, very colorful.
The king had 4 sons.
Pace of them and the rhythm of them is kind of the way you might retell a dream or some story that you've told a million times.
Was compassionate.
On our research trip in Scotland, when we go from town to town and talk to the locals about whatever lore and legends they grew up with, it always seemed more specific when they were telling a joke. Everybody had a name, the places had a name. But if it was mythology or if it was folklore, everything was generalized. It was the young girl by the lake and it was the king. Yeah, it's like a simplification of the ideas. The details aren't getting in the way of the broad strokes of the story.
That the combined gifts of the brothers would make an even greater kingdom. But the eldest son felt disgraced.
It's been a while since we've seen this, huh?
Mm-hmm.
I really enjoyed working on something that was sort of like a campfire story, that it had this kind of self-contained little feeling of one of our characters that we got to know a little bit in the movie, but you get to have her tell you a whole story.
When we talked about doing this short, we didn't want to necessarily show what happened off screen or revisit a character doing something we had already seen them doing, but doing a different version. I think it was trying to dig deeper and do a character that kind of wanted its own screen time.
And the fate of this great kingdom.
And here's actually where things start going really pretty dark, where the family is feuding. And we were actually looking at these 4 cuts that you're seeing right now as seasons of time, where there was summer, spring, fall, and obviously the winter. The stalemate right here were the torches, where everybody's not moving, they're frozen, nobody's giving up anything. And we're now moving into familiar territory from the movie of these Ring of Stones that were such a great set piece. Almost like this spot was destined to have these characters continue to be reborn.
It's like you're connecting those elements back into the history of the world, that those stones have been there forever, and the idea of the wisps have been there forever, and even the witch as an element that sort of is enduring.
Yeah, and we made a specific choice not to keep her in the same cabin. She's obviously on a lock right now. She's been around, but she has obviously been moving, and she's a Bedouin, so to speak.
Maybe she's been around for generations, or maybe she's not stuck in one time period.
He demanded she create a spell that would change his fate.
I like your little hint of the bottle revealing the Mor'du to come as it passes in front of his face.
Yeah, it was Scott Morris, when he was doing the boards, had come up with that idea, and we're like, let's do it!
Its soul behind his bluster.
The runes that are going into this horn spell out Mor'du. It's a little insider tip.
Scott's stuff has a lot of that comic book sensibility where you find the visual shortcuts. Not drawing pupils into the characters continues that idea that these are icons rather than specific personalities, which is something that we found in all those folk tales from Scotland.
And we really like that idea. It's almost like statues or gods.
I like the graphic element, icons that are coming out of the spell.
The spell took effect, giving him strength tenfold. But to his surprise, in the form of a great black bear.
His power color here was green. We didn't want to go red, felt that was too on the nose, but somehow it was just this green element of his, almost as if it was a rotten or decayed look, was coming out of Mor'du, and it was just literally spreading through the kingdom. People were thinking that these are the ancestors of the four clans, and we never really wrote it as that these guys are the same clansmen that you see in the movie Brave, because the Mor'du line, you're not quite sure who that is. But I don't mind if the audience thinks that.
With the armies of the bright
Even the name of Mor'du, it's this really non-specific description of something that we felt sounded very threatening.
It fit his character wonderfully, and it was really interesting just to kind of delve into a little bit of a darker storytelling device.
We always talked about Mor'du like he was a Moby Dick type of character, and you didn't know how long he's been around.
I like that you never quite know how many years. Is it hundreds of years old? And they're still ancestors to that old story, and he really is a character that is quite powerful.
will you
Yeah, I always found that compelling.
And here wanted a twist on revealing who the character is that the witch is actually talking to.
Yeah, we think it's the viewer coming into the story, and then we realize it's poor wee Dingwall.
Sweetie, you've got to pull, not push.
Oh, thank you.
Nice chatting with you.
And right here is kind of where I envisioned it was just basically the witch actually saying goodbye. Her last little curtain call, so to speak. Louis Gonzalez background painting here with the bear. I loved my crew. I wish we could keep doing this forever and ever and ever. It was really fun to have such a small crew that you could work with really fast, down and dirty, and just really be able to have a lot of input from a few people, which made it have a lot of energy. And I just look at this as a family album for me of exploring these ideas. I really enjoyed working with everybody on this. And that's a wrap. Let's go get some tacos.